Welcome to the Eureka Street Crypto Podcast.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Eureka John, and you're at Eureka Street Crypto, broadcasting from Leander, Texas. It is 6:22 in the morning, July 16th. All right, hold on. Let me change the date here. And this is my morning video blog, my brain dump of all the news that I gather, my sandbox for audio-visual tips and techniques and things that I learn, and my message in a bottle to the crypto and web3 community and anybody else who just wants to keep up with what I'm doing. All right, man. So none of this is edited. It's all just raw, pretty much. Sometimes I might make some basic cuts if there's just like long pauses while I'm looking for something, but aside from that, it's pretty raw. I wake up in the morning, and this is my quiet time in the house before the rest of the barrel of monkeys wakes up, the peanut gallery. And so the house is quiet. It's nice. I like it. I'm getting ready to go skate too. And I get the skateboarding out of the way in the early day as well. That's the dad life, man. So let's look over here at CoinGecko and see what's going on. All right. So Bitcoin is at $20,641.11. Ethereum at $1199.41. Everything's been fairly static the past couple of weeks. I'm refreshing the page here. See if anything's changed in like the last 2 minutes. Bitcoin's at $20,644.56. Let's see here. Tether and USDC, Binance USDC, 3 stable coins in the top 10. We got DAI down at 12. Anything like really stand out? No, man. Uniswap's up 18.5% in the past 7 days. We have Monero up 9.8%. So privacy, Monero is like the most private token you can possibly, private crypto you can have out there. It uses what's called ring signatures. And Monero is good. Privacy is good, especially the more we go into this digital world where everything we do is tracked and traced online, and we have IoT devices, and we have big data, IoT, artificial intelligence, 5G, and blockchain, and all that converging into one little singularity. And we're having a Cambrian explosion of technology coming out at us, and everything we do is recorded. This will go down on your permanent record, to quote Violent Femmes. It will go down on your permanent record. So there has to be some ways to step outside of that economy, or we'll end up like the people in Canada right now, or the people in China under Sesame Credit. There has to be a way to step out of that credit system, that economy, and use another type of economy. And the decentralization of the crypto space, and a lot of the developers and a lot of the people creating in the crypto space, that's what they're hoping for. And that's why they're into it. Not just about speculating on something like ApeCoin right here, which is down 10%. But on creating another way to transact that is not supervised by some central bank digital currency, and it's with every push of centralization comes a pull of decentralization, and it's healthy, and just like the political pendulum, and you're right, left, and it's just part of the natural process. But if there is no pull from decentralization, that's where things get really unhealthy, and the society starts to get way out of whack and in a state of mass psychosis. And we haven't had a good push of decentralization in a while. I'd say early Bitcoin and the cypherpunks were the last good push of decentralization, but there are some projects that are popping up, and privacy-centered projects as well, that are really doing more of that decentralization pull. So let's go over here and take a look at something I found. I'm always interested in cool privacy projects. And Secret Network is one that I've covered. I've covered Monero, I've talked about like Tornado Cash and I've talked about the Samurai wallet on Bitcoin. I talk about privacy quite a bit on this show and tools for getting privacy, why privacy is important, things like that. There is no totally perfect solution. The pirate chain, I did an entire video on that. But there's no perfect solution, but there's a lot of great projects that are focused specifically on that. Because it is, like I said, becoming a more and more of an important topic. The more we go digital, 100% digital our everyday life, and the more cash is being phased out of our society. That's the whole point of Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash. So you can have your $20 bill that you give to somebody because cash is anonymous. Let's face it. You hand your neighbor. Your neighbor has like a 10-year-old girl. She's running a lemonade stand. You want to be able to like give her some cash and not have to sit there and like run a credit card. She's sitting there doing Square payments for the little thing of lemonade. It's like all that type of stuff will be eliminated. Like if we go zero cash. And so, yeah, we don't want that. And so here we go. Here's a thread that I found. Today we launched Aztec Connect, the VPN for Ethereum. Interesting, because we all know, or maybe you don't know, but Ethereum is 100% public and transparent and open, just like the blockchain is. That's the model of the blockchain. What you do is fully in the light of everybody to see. That's kind of in a way the security of it, and this the security and the how open source has thrived as well. Open source software versus Microsoft Bill Gates trying to proprietize that. I guess a lot of software back in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of people did not like Bill Gates back then. That's why he got the pie in the face, and everybody was just kind of like, what? And a lot of people didn't know what was going on, because they didn't really understand computer technology. So really only the nerds understood what was going on. But there was this large open source community. That's how people did, computer knowledge share back in the day. And that's how people are doing a lot of knowledge share currently with web3 and crypto. There's a lot of open source stuff. So when a company tries to come in and own it, and package it up and then, own that technology, it's frowned upon, to say the least. So, yeah. So anyway, where was I going? Today we launched Aztec Connect, the VPN for Ethereum. If you don't know what VPN is, you can download a VPN to your computer, and you can ideally, it takes your IP address and it masks it with another IP address of somewhere else in the world of your choosing generally. And there's some really terrible VPN software. Most VPN software can be cracked really easily. But that being said, say for instance, you have like a geolocation type of website, maybe Major League Baseball, MLB, and you want to watch your home game, but they black out your location. You may be able to use a VPN to get in that and see that. I've tried with VPNs. They've found a way to outsmart that. But that's just an example. Or say, for instance, like Binance, does KYC, which is know your customer process, and they don't allow customers from certain countries. Well, if you use a VPN, if I used a VPN to say that I was logging in from Ireland, for instance, then I might be able to log in and use Binance. However, whenever I do actually go through that KYC process where I have to show the picture of my driver's license and everything like that, it's gonna end up blowing my cover. But then I could at least log in and use Binance. So that's kind of the purpose of VPN. It allows you to mask where your location is. And to tunnel through a network with some semblance of privacy. There are more complex decentralized VPNs right now as well that are coming out, like Sentinel, and the token for that is DVPN, and it allows people to run their own VPN nodes and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So yeah, VPNs are coming a long way. And so here we have Aztec Connect, a VPN for Ethereum. So since Ethereum is a public blockchain, this finds a way to put you into kind of a disguised ecosystem to be able to transact on Ethereum without all your movements being tracked and traced on the public blockchain. So let's just get into it a little bit, and we'll see like how and what the significance of this is. So it says I just used it to get some staked ETH on mainnet Curve for $1.50 in fees, which is cheap, man. With complete privacy, fully private DeFi with huge cost savings. Why I think our private rollup is ridiculously bullish for Ethereum. And privacy on DeFi right now, I think, is pretty important because a lot of people, are doing things with some, fairly decent yields, a hell of a lot better yields than the bank will give you. That's for sure. So you want to be able to do that type of stuff in private, especially with the lack of nebulous regulation around it. And so anybody willy-nilly could just make up their rules and crack down on how you decide you want to what you want to do with your money after the fact. And they're like, wow, yeah, we made a law about that. Now that we see you made some decent money from it. That's the law. Yeah, that's what it was. And so they retroactively get you. But if you use like VPN while you're doing the DeFi type of stuff and you happen to make money from it, then there's no way that anybody would be able to like retroactively tax or regulate on you for that type of stuff. So anyway, the future of Ethereum is optional privacy is what this thread says. So this is by Threadur, Creative Jack. Okay, he's a threader. I'll follow Threadur. The Threadur. Whole blockchains have been built for private transactions. Now you can have private transactions, DeFi, and more on Ethereum. So yeah, they've made in the past entire blockchains like Monero and the Pirate Chain, like I mentioned, and the Secret Network. So what I'm about to talk to you about here is Aztec Network. I've already seen privacy on Ethereum with the Secret Network, although I guess it is on the secret blockchain at that time. This is actually kind of using Ethereum Network. I'm having a hard time distinguishing what the difference is between Secret Network and this is, although Secret Network uses trusted execution environments, and this uses a different technique, which we'll go into here. So anyway, Threadur, the privacy layer for Web3. All right, so what is Aztec? Aztec is the privacy layer for Web3. So yeah, and here is the Aztec website. Actually, that's the research page, which I will get into. This is the Aztec website. Welcome to the world of private DeFi. Aztec Network releases its next iteration of zk.money, demonstrating the power of Aztec Connect SDK to build seamless integrations with DeFi protocols like Lido and Element. So here's that, the privacy network for DeFi, for Web3. So Secret Network wasn't specifically built for Web3, I don't think. Aztec Network is the first smart contract platform with privacy by default and secured by Ethereum. So privacy first, privacy second. Our unique architecture ensures that architecture transactions are always kept from prying eyes while always retaining auditability and compliance. So it does comply with, I guess, a lot of current regulations. DeFi, DAOs, NFTs the way it should be. Aztec Connect allows users to confidentially access world-class DeFi services on Ethereum with up to 100x cost savings. So they have partnered with things like with places like Aave and Element Fi and who else? Some other type of Lido as well. So all right, let's go back to this thread because this thread is pretty good. So what is Aztec, the privacy layer for Web3? It allows you to obfuscate or hide transactions, DeFi, staking, yield swaps, or even completely set up completely fresh private wallets. Okay, so why it matters. Privacy is important. Crypto holders put themselves in a real danger by revealing their net worth to the world. Yeah, when you hold your money on the Ethereum blockchain or the Bitcoin blockchain for that matter, all your account balance is out there for the world to see. So if you are a whale, or if you have a large account balance, or if you have an account balance on something that is not deemed an appropriate type of project or whatever, then you might be in trouble from prying eyes, from people wanting to hack you and stuff like that. And so and it's not that hard to figure out whose wallet is whose over time. And there are specific websites dedicated to that, like Chainalysis, So yeah. So anyway, crypto holders, and then some people using Ethereum name, the ENS services, actually put their name on their Ethereum address, like I've done on eurekajohn.eth on one of mine, so it's not that hard to figure out which wallet's mine. You can go in there and look at that balance if you want, so anyway, crypto holders put themselves in real danger by revealing their net worth to the world. But that's not my only wallet. I have lots of wallets. So many institutions and companies will never use crypto while accounts are 100% transparent. The whales are increasingly targeted by hackers. Yeah, so those are reasons. Like if you're a company, it would be stupid of you to put your stuff and your entire company account balances and everything like that on the Ethereum blockchain for everybody to see, for all your competitors to see every transaction you do and all that type of stuff. And they will figure it out. Actually, Unibright and the Baseline protocol are projects that have been trying to solve that issue as well. And I think they've done so pretty successfully, but I haven't kept up with Unibright in a while. Anyway, how it works, you send any in the future, now it's just Ethereum and DAI pairs, but you send any Ethereum 20 token to the Aztec Layer 1 rollup smart contract they've named shielding. This mints notes, like notes, IOUs, you could think of these notes like wrapping or shielding your tokens in privacy. Now, when you send a transaction through Aztec to someone, all people see is the note transacting, not anything else. So no one except the recipient can tell how many tokens are in the notes you sent, so privacy is achieved. A great thread that goes into exactly how this notes works by YTZ Benno. I'll link this thread. It goes pretty technical, so I'm not going to go into that here in the scope of this morning show. But I'll put a link here if you want to get into the nitty gritty of it. Another huge benefit is transactions on Aztec are up to 100x cheaper due to being batched. So they batch and they use rollups to do these transactions, which means they group together a bunch of transactions. It's like, you having group rates on a cruise ship, So you have to wait a little longer unless you pay a premium, or you get a Groupon for a transaction. But for retail users, this will be a huge bonus. And that is a huge bonus. Like doing things on type of privacy platforms, staking platforms, yield platforms, like DeFi platforms, they can get really expensive, because the thing about Ethereum is the more text that is in a smart contract, the more code that it's in a smart contract, the more expensive that gets to run a transaction, because that's a lot of text to put on the blockchain, and you're basically paying for blockchain real estate. And if you're just sending from one wallet to another, that's not a whole lot of text on that. But if you are doing things like staking, that's a ton of text on a smart contract and to put on the Ethereum blockchain, and you pay for it. So using Ethereum, actually recently the gas prices have been very low, but in the past, as we've seen, it's like sometimes the gas price is more than it's worth to take money off. So a lot of people's accounts and money that they might have on Ethereum gets stranded on Ethereum because they don't want to pay the gas price to pull it off. And so it's just like, say you have like $200 worth of stuff staked up on Ethereum, and then it's like $220 of gas to pull it off. Like, what's the point? And so you basically lost that money. And a lot of people, including myself, have found themselves in that type of precarious situation. So yeah. And so this is one way to kind of get around that, is for you want to use those DeFi platforms and get that yield and put your money to work, but you don't have to pay the gas. Well, you can batch process that type of stuff with a bunch of other random people by using something like a rollup, and that Aztec has here. So what you can do now, Aztec's in its early stages, so it's limited for safety. You can shield up to 5 ETH or 10,000 DAI per account. Once shielded, you can use your funds on zk.money. You can send transactions, create a fresh wallet with no links to the outside world, and stake in Lido Finance, Element Fi, or Aave right now to come to their website, or Aave to come according to their website. Okay, so what's to come? Aztec just launched Connect, which is a software development kit and bridge builder. So it'll be multi-chain as well. It's like a VPN for Ethereum. So according to that last post, it just happened. So it allows for any existing DeFi app to integrate with Aztec without fragmenting liquidity onto other chains, redeploying code, or a huge amount of issues. So it creates composability. And I've talked about what composability is before. It's whenever one developer or company or project creates some kind of functional app, and then in this case, it's a bridge builder, right? Or it's a VPN. So any other project like Aave that wants to use that VPN, all they have to do is take that code and plug it into their website. And I've explained these type of things, this composability, as like, say some company created a stock ticker, some other website that it doesn't really follow stocks, but thinks that it would be nice to have a stock ticker on their website. They don't want to have to hire a team to create their own stock ticker. No, they can just take that code because it's open source and then plug it into their website, and they have a stock ticker for their website. So yeah, that's kind of what composability is. So this is a VPN for ETH, and it allows any existing DeFi app to integrate with Aztec without fragmenting liquidity, redeploying code, or a huge amount of issues. So it allows these websites to put these VPNs on theirs. So it allows Aave to put this VPN functionality on its website. So anyway, it routes transactions through Aztec. So if you go to deposit in Lido Finance, it routes it through the Aztec smart contract, keeping your transaction private. So there are more protocols listed on their site, with the assumption being these will be the next to integrate. So we have Compound, Uniswap, Liquidity, CalSwap, Set Protocol, Instable. This is very solid, legit. So then I'd expect Trade to launch after that, is what the threader is saying. This implies it'll be your favorite DEXs, i.e. those already featured on their site, like Uniswap, CalSwap, with private swaps. So you can swap your tokens without it being on chain. So again, that's kind of what the Secret Network does. So I would think it'd be interesting to do like a side-by-side comparison video of Aztec Network and Secret Network. Anyway, so yeah, following this, after all this is done, all these developments, expect allowing people to vote within DAOs and communities without revealing who they voted for. So that's one thing. And when you're in a DAO and you're voting on proposals, what you vote for is revealed to the entire community. So maybe you could use this type of composability plugin in your DAO to be able to allow people to vote anonymously, so it doesn't show whose wallet voted. And then another possible function is anonymous identity sharing. So allowing you to prove you're part of a group without revealing who you are. This will usher in a new way of compliance and KYC process. That's really cool. Imagine this would be very exciting for institutional types and compliant DeFi. So it allows people to remain compliant, with all the regulations that demands that we have KYC and AML process and all that type of stuff for exchanges, because that's what they're trying to push on Uniswap and SushiSwap and a lot of these other decentralized exchanges. That the point of them is they're supposed to be decentralized. So if you have a KYC process on there, it inherently makes it in a way centralized, and that sucks. But if you can comply with that demand of KYC, but still be anonymous, then there we go. You've gotten around it. So, I think that's pretty cool. And then, so what this means for you, if you're in it for the tech, Aztec opens the door to everyone who wants privacy. This is one of the biggest changes in crypto's history. It unifies all the potential of privacy chains with that of DeFi, with more to come. If you're in it for the gains, bro, Aztec seems like an amazing project to follow. Explore the ecosystem, as there's no token yet, with the wink wink. So yeah, a lot of these projects have started to drop tokens, as you saw with Optimism, you saw with Hot Protocol, ZK Sync. If they haven't dropped their token yet, they probably will very soon. But anyway, so let's go to the Aztec Money website here. I've been going for 24 minutes. I got like 6 minutes left. So here's the Aztec Network. And so it's connected. One of their apps here is zk.money. And this, so let's see here. Let's go to zk.money. And the privacy DeFi yield aggregate for Ethereum. zk.money is your portal for using Ethereum DeFi services with full privacy and up to 100x cost savings. Shield funds to start accessing. So yeah, this is a lot of the partners here, or potential partners or future partners, and all these, some pretty solid partners right here. How I use zk.money. So Shield Fund. Come on. Okay. Connect your Ethereum wallet to Shield Funds to Aztec and register an account alias. Access private DeFi. Funds can be used to interact with popular DeFi protocols like Element and Lido with full privacy. Send and receive privately. Funds within zk.money can be sent fully privately to another Aztec alias or sent to layer 1. Remember to follow privacy best practices. So if you have your money up on the zk.money platform, you can send to somebody who is also not on there, who is not on that zk.money platform. It'll just show as coming from Aztec, and that's it. And they won't know who it comes from. But you could send some money to somebody anonymously, or you could just send it to somebody else who has their stuff shielded up on zk.money. So there's this good explainer over here. Let's see, and it uses kind of like a little Snoop Dogg type of analogy here. I was going to go into Element Finance, and I was going to shield some of my Ethereum so you could see, but I just don't really have the time for that right now. Oh, it's in this document. How Aztec works, the privacy. I thought this was fascinating. Fully confidential Ethereum transactions, Aztec Network's privacy architecture, an overview of how Aztec preserves privacy. Aztec is a privacy-first, zero-knowledge rollup on Ethereum. That means it's the only layer 2 built from the ground up to be fully privacy preserving. So this is a layer 2 network. It's its own blockchain. Okay, so yeah, people ask, well, what's the difference between that and any other layer 2? Well, it's private. So to understand the paradigm shifting nature of private transactions is why it's important to build privacy directly into a network's architecture. We have to first discuss why Ethereum is not private. So you might have heard the term public ledger, which consists of two parts, accounts and balances. The most primitive transaction on Ethereum is sending Ether from one account address to another. The way the network keeps track of this is by incrementing one's account balance and decrementing the other. In other words, the ETH doesn't really move in any sense. So it's just like your bank, really. You have two accounts and you send, $50 to one account, so your account balance decreases by $50 and somebody else's account balance increases. And that's it. They just do a little math right there, and everything is right here. So here's how it shakes out. Snoop Dogg starts with 100 ETH and his account balance is debited 20 ETH. Cosimo, the other receiver, starts with 0 ETH and his account is credited 20 ETH. So if he wants to send 20 ETH, that's how it happens. Snoop's ending account balance is 80 ETH, Cosimo's is 20 ETH. Transfer complete. And we can see a representation of credits and debits, and it just shows just a little balance sheet of ins and outs, and then everything is visible on Etherscan here. So yeah, you might be okay. Let's see here. You can see the obvious problem here. Not only can we see all the account transactions, we can see all the amounts, assets, and counterparties. That's in fact the power of public blockchains. Due to their public nature, they are eminently auditable, and verifiable. You can't lie on a blockchain. A blockchain is truth. It's a way of creating truth, digital truth. That's what it is. Just like cash is truth. Money talks, right? Money's truth, and cash is truth, and so is blockchain. It's digital truth. So, but what that means, if someone's privacy is compromised, whether intentionally or by accident, then we know their entire transaction history. Just like you could go to eurekajohn.eth and see my entire Ethereum wallet balance, But that's why I have many, many wallets. So cracking the public transaction graph is big business. Companies like Chainalysis and Nansen run sophisticated forensic analysis to associate various wallets, monitor activity, and make probabilistic assumptions about who owns what. And entities like the IRS use Chainalysis. So Imagine if every time you swiped a credit card to buy a croissant, you showed every person in the world your bank statement. That'd be pretty goofy, right? Well, that's the state of Ethereum today. So the obvious answer is encrypted accounts. So, okay, I hear you saying this is so easy to solve. Just encrypt the account balances and owners. Duh, idiot. How could I be so stupid, right? Except let's actually walk through how encrypted accounts would work. So if people say, yeah, you just didn't encrypt it. Yeah, sure. Recall the ledger balance from before. With encrypted accounts and transactions, it would instead look like just a bunch of question marks, okay. So that's useful, right? So, but how would the network check the accounting, ensuring no double spend or collusive funny business? It turns out solving this is pretty effing hard. And that's what Bitcoin has been trying to solve, is the double spend process. And that's why they made it all completely open and public and a public ledger, because it eliminates collusive funny business, like that goes on in a bunch of boardrooms and meeting rooms and on napkins in bars and fancy bars that I can't afford to go to and stuff like that. So, back to our businessmen Snoop Dogg and Cosimo to help us figure it out. If they needed to do a transaction, they'll have to interact, since the network can't help check that they did a valid transaction. So that's if it's encrypted. If it did, someone somewhere would have knowledge of what went down. Instead, Snoop initiates the interaction. So if it's encrypted, Snoop would have to request Cosimo's encrypted account state. Cosimo sends the encrypted state to Snoop. Snoop decrypts Cosimo's state, confirming the pre-transaction balance. Snoop sends an encrypted payment to Cosimo. Cosimo sends his updated encryption statement to Snoop. Snoop decrypts Cosimo's new state, confirming the post-transaction balance, and that Cosimo actually got the money he was promised. That's a mouthful right there. So this elaborate dance has some serious drawbacks. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and you can only do this with one person at a time. You can only dance with one person at a time. Both parties, unless you're square dancing, right? But both parties have to be online at the same time to facilitate. Worst of all, at the end of this dual-sided dialogue, neither party has convinced the rest of the world of anything. They've only mutually validated their one transaction. So, but hold up. What if we flip the attribution structure on its head? Ethereum defaults to an account model, where an account model has a balance. In other words, look up the account and you get the balance. But what if we instead structured it to say a certain amount of money described by a note has an owner? Look up the note and see who it belongs to. This is how Bitcoin works, and it's called UTXO, unspent transaction outputs. And there's the UTXO model and the account-based model. Personally, I think the UTXO model is a lot better because it's more of like a cash model, right? So think of UTXO as cash, banknotes. So let's think for a second about why cash is inherently more secure and private, or precisely more secure and private than account-based systems. Got it? It's secure because only the two parties transacting the cash know that ownership has changed hands. Everyone else in the entire universe can be kept in the dark. So you can think of a cash transaction as a change in ownership of an object, where an accounting transaction is a change in the state of two accounts. So they found a way to do Ethereum and smart contracts using UTXO, which is what Bitcoin uses. So they're kind of going back to the roots, back to Bitcoin. I'm going back to Bitcoin. So anyway, when an Aztec transaction processes, rather than doing an account balance, update, incrementing and decrementing balances on a ledger book, the network simply reassigns ownership for a given note. Why is this helpful? Well, it turns out it's way easier to encrypt a note because it only needs two things written on it: how much it's worth and who it's owned by. When it changed hands, you scribble out the old owner's name and write the new owner's name. So, if I had my name written on a dollar bill and I gave it to my buddy PJ, then I'll just say, oh, well, this is yours now. And I just write that this dollar is for PJ, and I just give it to him, and then that's PJ's dollar, and that's basically what's going on. So like a UTXO, say for instance, unspent transaction output model. So like I have 10 Bitcoin, and I need to give somebody 5 Bitcoin. I would never do that, but so I would take that 10 Bitcoin and I would burn that note, and I would get back 5 Bitcoin, and I would give the other 5 Bitcoin to PJ, right? So yeah, and that's how that splits out. It's a cash model, So the system creates if you have if you have 20 Bitcoin and you want to give 17 to somebody, it burns that 20 note and it mints, I guess, in a way 17. So it mints a 10, a 5, and two ones, and then it gives that to the person you want to give it to, like PJ, and then it gives me 3 Bitcoin. So yeah, and it has nothing to do with account balances or anything like that. So what happens in a simple note transaction? Say Snoop has 50 ETH notes totaling 100 ETH and Cosmo has 0 notes. Snoop's 50 ETH notes need to be destroyed and 2 notes created. So an 80 ETH note that stays with Snoop and a 20 ETH note that goes on to its new owner, Cosmo. Yeah, just like I just, demonstrated in my own words as well. But how can privacy be preserved if the value of the notes have to be revealed? Well, they don't, not publicly at least. Of course, Snoop and Cosmo know the value of their transaction, just like an exchange of cash, but they don't have to reveal it to the world. To protect their mutual privacy, Snoop publishes the transactions with a lock that he knows only Cosmo can unlock with his private key. The analogy here is kind of like putting the note in a little lockbox. Of course, they both know what's in the box, 20 ETH, so Snoop has to trust Cosmo not to shout it from the rooftop, "Someone just sent me 20 ETH." But otherwise, the note that was assigned new ownership goes back into a data structure holding all the notes that were ever created, a Merkle tree hash. And I'm not going to go into Merkle tree hashes here, but it's a way of encrypting. So we know that Snoop destroyed 2 notes, created 2 notes, and then sent one of the 2 notes to his friend Cosmo. How can we make sure the 2 of them don't collude, for instance, to double spend? What if Snoop destroyed 2 notes worth 100 Ethereum in total and created 2 notes worth 200 ETH in total, or hell, an arbitrarily large amount? So recall the steps. Snoop destroys 250 notes and creates a 20 note and an 80 note. So he had 100 ETH and he created a 20 note and an ETH note. So Snoop sends the 20 ETH note to Cosmo. To ensure nothing fishy happens, in step 1, all Snoop needs to do is prove to the system, the Aztec system, that the 2 notes he intends to create are equivalent to the value to the 2 notes he intends to destroy. This is known as a join split transaction, and it conforms to the simple equivalence A plus B equals C plus D. So A plus B equals C plus D, right? So here's the psycho part. Buckle up. In order to prove that the output notes C plus D are equivalent in value to the input notes A plus B or 100 ETH, Snoop generates his zero knowledge proof locally in his browser. The magic of zero knowledge proofs means he can prove the equivalence of A plus B equals C plus D without revealing any of their values. So yeah, that's like zero knowledge proofs are saying, hey, I have this, right? I have X. And the other person's like, do you really? Prove it to me. And then they find a way to prove that they have X without showing that they have X. You know, it's like if you were to kidnap somebody, and this is like a common thing in like in crime movies and everything, and they bring the ransom. You know, how do I know you have the ransom? How do I know you have the child? You know, and they're sitting there, and they all have their big teams of bodyguards behind them, and they're looking all rough and everything, and we'll do it at the same time. Pass the child, and I'll slide the briefcase over. Well, this is kind of a way to prove that there's money in the briefcase and that person has the child hanging out behind the curtain around the corner. So it's a way to do that without trusting the other person. So that's what zero knowledge proofs are. They're a way to prove that each party has what they say they have without the parties actually having to trust each other. So then Aztec validates the proofs and says, by the power of zero knowledge, this must be true, at which point the smart contract destroys the 2 input notes, generates 2 output notes, and records the 2 output notes as an encrypted commitment in the note registry. So yeah, it uses zero knowledge proofs to prove ownership, and then they go down here into the Merkle trees. So in order to send the notes that I've proven I own, an entirely new Merkle tree and Merkle tree root is created. Once the Merkle roots of both the note tree and nullifier tree have moved to new values, in other words, the state of the system has been updated, those roots are published and settled on the Ethereum's main chain, and transactions are deemed recorded. So yeah, and then it goes through and it shows examples of this in the code, so you can see it's all zeros instead of transaction addresses. Interesting stuff, this Aztec network. And so here is the zk.money website, and I did launch the app and I was getting ready to go upload, but you have to log in and I guess create an account. You don't have to like give them your address or anything. So, but hold on, let's see here. I will create a new account with a MetaMask, and it's popped up, but you can't see it on that screen because I don't have that view enabled. But I'm just going to connect my MetaMask here real quick. I'm way over time, but it seems like I've been over time like the past 3 episodes. But hey, man, it's how it rolls. When you get excited and you have a lot of stuff, so here's me connecting and signing the request. Be careful what you sign. I do know this is legit. So pick a memorable alias. I will pick. So you have to create an alias for you. I'll just pick Eureka John. I know it's not like. So I'm going to register this and I will sign. Confirming account key. Pick a memorable alias. I'll sign this. Okay. All right, so that, geez. Hold on, I think last time when I was in the middle of signing it and then it canceled out, that it kind of screwed it up because I closed out the website like right in the middle of all this. Okay. So here it is. Now it's asking me to upload a little bit of ETH. Yeah, sure, 0.01 ETH, I'll do that. And it takes approximately 4 hours. So it does take some time. And what it does is it waits for a bunch of other people to do the same thing so it can batch everybody together. And that's what makes it cheap. It's like, Groupon fees, everybody shares the gas fees. So yeah, and I'm shielding 0.01 Ethereum here just to try it out. So this says, this is experimental software. Use at your own risk. Learn more about our approach to security here. So anyway, after you do that type of thing and you get your money up on there, you can take it over to Element Fi and you can, in an anonymous fashion, participate in these pools and these vaults and do, your typical standard DeFi activity and put your money to work for some decent yield and stuff like that on things like Element Fi. So yeah, and so you can earn, you can contribute to liquidity pools and all that other type of stuff. So anyway, I've gone way over. I'm gonna go hit my skateboard and so try to get on about the day before it gets too hot. But I hope this helped. I hope it at least gave you an introduction to Aztec, and try to enjoy your weekend. Keep on keeping on, man. DM me, give me an upvote. Subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm so close to having 1,000 subscribers still, but not quite there. All right. I'll talk to you all later. Thank you for making it to the end of this program. If you actually like this content, give a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more, just hit the subscribe button. I'm available on YouTube, Odyssey, and BitChute, and on all the major podcasting platforms in audio version. Spotify specifically. If you would like to follow and leave a review, that would help a lot. I am also available on Twitter at EurekaJohn1. That's EUREKA John, JOHN, and the number 1. My DMs are always open. Feel free to shoot me a message. Thanks again.